Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So, how much did the adventure in Kursk cost? How much the incursion, only in materials, cost NATO or the countries who sponsor that? Well, I'm going to show you how much money they flushed down the toilet with no outcome, no positive. I mean, you can say, well, it was a little threat that they gave to the Russians. My friends, that Kursk thing was dead before it already started. We find out that most Republicans, or people who identify as Republicans in the United States of America, 80% oppose further aid to Ukraine. Well, if we would live in a democracy, we would cut the middleman. In this case are the so-called elected officials who are not doing our bidding, they are just doing their special interests. That's the second topic for this video. The third one, we have a US representative who is Ukrainian, speaks English worse than I do, but she got balls. Her name is Victoria Spartz, and she says that Ukrainians should accept loss of territory to Russia. She knows something we don't know. And then the last topic, I picked it because of a picture from this article from the New Voice of Ukraine, and because of the title, and that is Trump's spiritual guide slams Russian attack on Kryvyi Rih. So there is a spiritual guy who should be concerned with, certain things, but he is in Ukraine together with some other spiritual leaders, and he's going to talk about something that I don't know how much he understands. Maybe he's a very knowledgeable person in politics, as he is in the spiritual matters. And I will use this article, plus the picture, to discuss how certain people, just because they are experts in chemistry, doesn't mean that you have any authority, any special authority, to speak about art. Okay? So if you are a spiritual leader, and you say you're good, that means your life was very much involved and focused on that. And from this spiritual guide, I will go to the Pope. Not that I have something against the Pope. No, don't get it that way. I dislike when the Pope gets involved with geopolitics. Why? Because I don't think the Pope reads geopolitics. I think he's told by advisors what he needs to say. I'm not implying the Pope is anything, like that, or no, it's just that, like the so-called athletes, that's how they call the basketball players, athletes, or the handball player, football players, athletes. They don't know how to shit or to wipe their ass, but they're all talking about things. You should talk, but you have no authority to start with, okay? You have no credentials. If you say something smart, you increase your worth as a person who knows something about the issue. Until then, all right, so let's start with the first article. The first article comes from Sputnik and tells us the adventure in Kursk Oblast. This article is from today, the 7th of April 2025. NATO flushes $2.7 billion the drain in Russia's Kursk. Well, I don't think it's anything, because this 2.7 billion were money that was printed, money that was typed. And that's it, and borrowed, and baboons like us pay for it. Ukrainian forces have lost roughly 1,500 pieces of NATO equipment valued at around $3 billion during the campaign of aggression against the Kursk region, according to estimates by Sputnik. Now you can say, well, Sputnik exaggerates. Probably, maybe that was not 1,500, maybe there were less, but definitely they invested in Kursk, and they lost. And I'm going to show you where Kursk is and what these guys did with people who are not familiar with the issue. Okay, so this is Ukraine, whatever's left for it for now, and here is Kursk. This is Russia right here. This is the border, and this is the Kursk Oblast. This is the town of Kursk. Here is where NATO used the Ukrainians more than they had to, and they invaded Russia. They had an initial success of about this much. All right, this much. Now, that much in the context of Russia, mind you, as much as you can see, here is Moscow. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, I guess. So not even, you see my strong hand over there, not even that much was conquered by NATO using the Ukrainians. Out of Russia, the hand. You see how much you have until you get to Moscow, from the strong hand to Moscow? So this is their success. If that was to distract the Russians from their spiritual special military operation, they did for a little bit. And then obviously they were kicked back. People lost their lives, materials were used, and they will build more. With whose money? Probably with your child's money. If you're younger than 50, they will be your children and your grandchildren's money. That's how they will rebuild our defense capabilities because of the Russian threat. Got that? Got it. And then they will find and fund other wars where we have to intervene to keep you safe. My God, it's such a baboonish thing. Anyway, so let's go and see next article, which a different topic. A little bit. New Voice of Ukraine. This is again from April 7th, 2025. Nearly 80% of the US Republican supporters oppose further aid to Ukraine. Wall Street Journal poll. Now, I would like you to make a distinction between Republican supporters and Trump supporters. This is the so-called Republican supporters. If you take only Republican supporters, this is Trump supporters and Republican supporters. If you take, I suspect, okay, that I don't have the evidence because they don't make this kind of opinion polls. So if you have 80%, and 80%, if you say, okay, guys who are Trumpsters, but not necessary, so not both, just Trumpster, I think you get to about 80% going out, and the Republican party solely is 20%. Okay, that's my estimates based on the information I have. So 100% Republican / Trumpsters. If you take the Trumpsters out, you remain with 20% just Republicans hating Trump. So that means it's not actually Republican supporters, it is actually Trump's supporters. And you have to make a distinction, because if Trump would have ran, let's say, independently, he would have beaten the Republican candidate, guarantee you that, big time. And then you would have seen the 80-20%. So nevertheless, this is why they don't allow us direct democracy. That's why, because in 79% of Republican Party supporters in the United States oppose continuing aid to Ukraine and its defense against Russia. Okay, this is a report that's April 6, citing the results of its latest survey. In contrast, 83% of Democratic Party supporters said they back continued assistance to Ukraine. So, this is the ideology. And I'm going to give you straight. I don't have to. And if you don't like it, maybe you should learn more about life. I say it. This is the big difference between the Republican, the conservatives, not Republicans, because for me, Republican and then Democrat, two parties are like this, one party, because behind are the same sponsors. As I say, it's like identical twins with the same parents. One twin has a goatee, the other one doesn't have a goatee, but it's identical right there. That's Democrats and the Republicans. But let's say, this is how I think they are. Republicans try to be self-reliant. That means I want to do it through myself. I don't want the government to tell me what to do, and nobody to interfere in my life. I don't want to be helped. I don't want my money to be taken and given to someone else. I don't want that. On the contrary, the other ones are like this. Oh, I'm very compassionate. Better than the baboon knuckle dragger Republican or whatever conservative. I'm better because I'm compassionate. Compassion is a quality we're told nowadays. It wasn't before, but now it is. When I said before, we had courage, we have intelligence or knowledge, wisdom, we have temperance. These were our qualities in our ancient Greco-Roman civilization. But hey, we turned into Judeo-Christian. Now, empathy is the biggest. Okay, so now I'm empathetic, I'm better than all of you, right? But with your money. With your money. And I'm going to get the money from those guys over there. Not from me. They're all for the poor immigrants, people who enter a country illegally. Okay, call them however you want. They enter a country breaking the laws of the country. You know why they're okay with that? Because that doesn't affect them, they think. And they say, well, let's give them this, let's give them... Obviously, I'm an immigrant, legal immigrant. Okay, oh, let them coming, but if you say, okay, Mr. What's her name? Let's put a Jamie Whitwell. So Jamie Whitwell, she is a Democrat. So Jamie Whitwell is all for helping these poor guys with my empathy and the drug and knuckle drugger over there. But you pay for it. We're gonna make you pay the taxes, and our representatives will help them. But if you say no, Miss Jamie, how about we give you, as I say, 5 families from Honduras with about 50 kids, all of them. You keep them for 10 years in your house or your apartment, whatever you have. You know what she's gonna say, Jamie? No. This is me right here, private property. No. You know what? And I pay taxes. The taxes that we drag this guy in, the producers, from the private institutions, they tend to be different kind of leaning. No, take from them the taxes, more tax them, so we can be empathetic with their money. This is one of the main distinctions. These guys want to solve problems for others, okay? But not with their money, with someone else's money. The other ones say, no, with nobody's money. I don't want you to use my money. I don't want them to use your money. My money is my money, your money is your money. These guys always have a problem with you. Oh, are you riding a bike without a helmet? Oh my God, let's make that a law that you have to have a helmet. But if you say, okay, how about you're an imbecile? All right, let's say your name starts with J, and we don't dislike J. We make it illegal. You're an illegal right now. Get to prison. Okay, so that's the thing here. So 83 are for it. Why? Because they think the money don't come from them. I pay taxes. Someone get the money. Get the billionaires. Did you notice that the millionaires want to tax the billionaires, and the guys who are not millionaires want to tax the millionaires and the billionaires? But on the same time, if you make $80,000 a year, let's say, you are a wealthy person compared with 90% of this planet. 90% of this planet doesn't make $80,000 a year. But hey, I make only 80,000. Let's tax those guys bigger. Not me. You too. Me too. Oh, no. These are the guys. These are the guys who want to solve empathetic projects with other people's money. Smack. Anyway, so that's why they don't want a direct democracy. Let's make a referendum, my man. In many issues, like pink hair, balls snipped, identification. Let's make a referendum. And you're going to find out all these LGBTQ puppet are not the way they tell us. Oh my God, the transgender issue. How much? In my life, this issue is non-existent unless these guys make me. Oh my God, you have to be nice. No, I don't want to be nice. It's not an issue for me. It's an issue for the society. There's other more important things. They made it to be important. All right, let's go back here. What do we have here? We have this Ukrainian representative, New Voice of Ukraine, Victoria Spartz, says Ukrainians should accept loss of territory to Russia. I listened to her on a few occasions, and I think she is very much Romanian, Ukrainian, the same kind. She is a ballsy mofo. That's what she is. She is really, I like her. U.S. Republican Congresswoman Victoria Spartz, who was born in Ukraine, married in the United States of America, anyway, has sparked controversy. Right away, controversy. Why? Did you hear these guys are all, no. They brand her already a controversy by stating the Ukrainians, and I'm quoting, must come to terms with giving up some of their territory to Russia. Otherwise, what? Do you think NATO is gonna beat Russia for you? If they wanna beat Russia, they're gonna beat it for them, not for you. You're just used. You're just a condom. That's what you are. Or not even a condom. Lube? Is that how lube? That's what you are. A lube to, she's not, okay, so let's use this so it doesn't friction too hard. Sorry. And I'm quoting. This is what she says. I just don't see how they, Ukraine, can be positioned to demand to keep the land. If they would be winning the war, that would be very different. I think she's right. Right there. But hey, it's a what was controversy. It's like I tell you, tomorrow is Tuesday. Oh my God, it's a controversy. It's more likely that tomorrow is Tuesday than Wednesday. All right? Maybe it's Wednesday, you lose your conscience and wake up for you the next day, but actually it's a next day. The same here. The reality in a territory. You can say it's unfair, which we can discuss that if it's fair or not, to have Crimea given by Khrushchev in 1954, I think it was given to Ukraine, if that was fair or not, and many other things like parts of Bessarabia, Romania given to Ukraine again, Bessarabia and Bukovina given, or Transcarpathia or Zakarpattia given to Ukraine, or Lviv and Lutsk from Poland given to Ukraine. We can discuss if this is fair or not. All right. So if you dig just a little bit, or you look under the carpet a little bit, you find out that Ukraine is a... Do you know what Ukraine means? La marginime. At the side, at the margin, at the end of what exactly? Anyway, I'm not going to go further than that. Let's go to these guys here. I think she's right. The reality, being realistic, you might not like it. Tomorrow is Tuesday. You might like Wednesdays, but it's Tuesday. So Trump's spiritual guide slams Russian attack on Kryvyi Rih. Okay, and that's the first, and that's the picture. I want to point out to you, this is the spiritual right here. A black guy, which I don't give a shit, could be yellow, could be purple, I don't give a damn. But this is the guy. A little bit better than all of us. Plus, that is the center right here. That's why I picked. He's over there too. You know what he's got on his head? Well, it's not white, but it's black. You know what, white? He forgot his sheets at home. Okay, so my friend, he is condemning the Russian attack. Well, yes, you condemn the loss of lives. That's true. But maybe you should turn around to the Ukrainians and say, why did you fuckers did it? Why did you try? Why did you try to destroy Russia? Why did you stay with the Americans? Why did you agree to fight those guys and those guys used you as lube? Why did you do that? Why don't you do that, Mr. Expert? So he condemns Russia for that. How about condemning Israel for something? I'm listening very intensely right here. About, Gaza. Why don't you go over there as an advisor? So that's why this fucker, for me, has no value. All right? Because he picks and chooses. Maybe he has the same thing he said to Israel, which I cut my balls off if he dared to say that. Why? Look who's behind Trump. If Trump, this guy, murmurs anything about those guys, he won't be Trump's, how they call him, spiritual guide. He ain't gonna be Trump's spiritual guide no more. If he says, well, Israel, the attacks on those 15 ambulance emergency personnel that you... How about those thousands of tens of thousands? How about those kids? How about those hospitals? How about that? I guarantee you, Mr. Spiritual Guide, we're gonna find out he has some kitty in his fucking computer just like this. And Trump will say, okay, he's kind of crazy. How are you talking about my bosses? Good, now you're my spiritual guide. All right, and the same with the Pope. The Pope comes and says that this is Russia's fault, this is Ukraine's fault. How about you deal with your thing and don't get into politics, okay? The same with the baboons like, what's his name? LeBron comes and says about, Black lives, let's kneel like slaves. Not like slaves, like servants. I watch English Premier League. Just highlights of some teams that I like over there for various reasons. And I still see imbeciles kneeling before a game starts. And it say no to that racism, and racism has no place and so on. Why do we have that problem in Europe? Because you have other people in there. Who brought them in? Oh, it's just a normal thing. So you see it as a problem and bring more? Okay, there's not about that. It's about the attitude of the football players under the peer pressure, and not only, they kneel over there and they... What do you kneel over there for? Are you like in the 14th century in front of a king? So I don't like these guys when they say, I mean, they can. LeBron James, what's his name? The other half white, half black, Kaepernick, whatever his baboon hair. What was his name? Kaepernick, I can fucking... the guy that kneeled the first time and he did not over the anthem. Okay, good for you. That's fine, no problem. But when you started talking, if you have something in your head, I'm okay with that. But then you claim, oh my God, The same. I don't like people who do not, they claim authority, like Bill Gates claims authority in certain, I don't know, medical fields and all that. He can say it, but he has no authority until he builds one. And build one, open your mouth so I know who you are. So again, the spiritual guide slams Russian attack. Do you think that Ukrainians never killed civilians in Russia? And if you are really a spiritual guy, you see evil wherever you see it and you call it out. Regardless if it's your mom, your son, your daughter, your friend. If it's evil, you call it out. You don't do it politically, but he does, I think. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.